Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to St George's Park for this media conference with Lee Carsley ahead of the UEFA Nations League fixtures against the Republic of Ireland and Finland. Before we open up for questions, just a reminder from housekeeping point of view that we'll limit it to 3 questions per person initially, and if we get time we'll come back round to you at the end. I believe Rob Dorset, you can get us underway.
Lee, nice to see you.
Rob?
I'm just behind here, look, back left.
Okay.
First time we've seen you since you've got the job, so first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
How proud are you to call yourself the, interim, but the men's senior England manager?
Yeah, I think it's a real proud moment, obviously for my family and myself. I think it's been a really hectic couple of weeks, trying to get my head around the magnitude of the job, the getting around to as many games as I can, try and see as many players as I can. I've been lucky or unlucky in the past that I've done this before in terms of taking over it from a short-term point of view. Obviously at club level, generally you go into a club where things aren't going very well, but obviously this is the opposite. I think it's fair to say the job that Gareth and Steve did, and the position that I'm picking the current squad up are in a totally different position than what they inherited. I think the expectation now around the squad and the players is really exciting, so I understand that I'm in a really privileged position, one that I'm really looking forward to. I'm excited about it, looking forward to meeting up with the players. Getting to the squad out today was an important bit. It was important that, like I spoke about before, putting my own stamp on the squad a little bit, but recognising how well they've done in the past. We've been so close a couple of times, and recognising that. So, but I thought it was important that we put some fresh faces in and put our own little mark on the squad.
You'll be expecting this next question. You've got the job on an interim basis.
Yeah.
Do you want it long term?
I think for me that's not really important. Again, the mistakes I've made in the past when I've been in these kind of positions is that I spend that much time telling people that I don't want the job, and I actually forget to do the job. So for me, the most important thing is the camp, is the games. The priority is to get out of the Nations League B. That's a big thing, and just doing a good job. I don't really worry too much about the future too much. It's really important that I'll concentrate on today and tomorrow.
We've seen your under-21s side playing a really attacking style.
Yeah.
Is that one of your kind of key principles? And I wonder if you can give us an idea of what your style is going to be like for the men's senior team, and whether it will differ, how it will differ from Gareth Southgate's style.
I won't really say it was my style. I think I'm really, really fortunate with the pool of players we've got to pick from. We've got some really exciting attacking players. So if you can get players in positions where they're very, very strong, they give people a chance to showcase their ability. That's a big thing. You'd have seen in the summer we had to be quite creative with the way that we played, because we had a lack of players in certain positions. So the position on the pitch is just as important in terms of getting players into areas where they can be creative and create chances and attack. But the opposite to that is understanding that you've got to dominate your opponent in and out of possession. That's a really big thing. It's great that we want to be seen as an attacking team, but from the summer's point of view, we went through the whole tournament and didn't concede a goal, which was testament to the defenders as well, and the way that they defended their own box. So playing to the players' strengths would be a big part of the philosophy. Alex is Rob.
Hi Lee.
Alex, you all right?
As you mentioned there, you won the Euros last summer. There's 5 of those players from that squad in this one. How important was that for you to bring those through and to work with the players that you don't know so well already?
Yeah, I think looking at the squad that we've picked today, I've worked with the majority of them, whether that be when I was assisting the 21s before, or work with them currently. So I think it was important to not only with the players but get staff around me as well that understand how I work and how I want to see a camp run. Understand the quick turnaround between days, between meet up and match preparation and playing in the game. So the players that have been called up and that are their first caps are really exciting players. They're very proud. It was great phone calls to make this morning to congratulate them, and they fully deserve the chance that they're going to get.
And just ask about two of those players you've called up, particularly in midfield, Morgan, Gibbs-White and Angel Gomez. What can they bring to the squad?
So I'm sure people will be a lot more aware of Morgan maybe than Angel. Morgan's a very attacking player, full of energy, very creative, very exciting, brilliant attitude, excellent work rate, very difficult to play against. He's been really successful with England, which I thought as well was important. That a lot of these players that we've called in are used to winning. They're used to winning and getting to latter stage of tournaments and doing really well. Morgan and Angel, for instance, would have been part of that World Cup team a few years back that won. Obviously, they've done the Euros as well, so that was an important thing. Angel's probably different to what we would have seen in the past in terms of the centre midfielder. That's probably a little bit more physical, more robust. Angel's very technical. He controls the game with his skill and his technique. He's very, very determined. He's got an excellent attitude, loves football. Like I say, technically and tactically, he's excellent. And I think he's a player that people are going to really be excited to see.
And in defence, a big name back in Harry Maguire and one missing in Kyle Walker. Just tell us about those two, please. Yeah,
so it was important. Like I said before, that we put our own mark on the squad. I think the fact that Kyle hasn't played this season, would suggest that City are potentially phasing him in gently. We have to respect that. I think it's important that players that are coming in are ready to play and are up to speed. And I think that's going to be a big thing of the squad. That I'd say 98% of the squad have played a lot of minutes so far this season and are in a good position. Harry Maguire obviously missed out on the Euro squad through injury. I see him as a real good leader. Especially with the centre backs that we've got as well, along with John Stones, Ez and Levi, good young defenders and Mark that are still learning the game. But I think from someone like him will be a good example for him.
Carrie, nice to meet you. Congratulations on the interim appointment. You worked very closely with Gareth Southgate in the past. What conversations have you had on the build-up to today?
Obviously, it would be unfair to tell you what we spoke about, but he's very supportive of myself. We had a great relationship, as I did with Steve as well, and the job that they did, especially from a 21's point of view, made it so much easier for me to manage the squad. And the seamless process where the players went between the 21's and the senior team, and the communication and managing that was made my job a lot easier. Like I said, they're both really supportive, and they're definitely two coaches and people that I'll be looking to help me in the future.
Gareth Southgate, the most successful manager since Alf Ramsey, but the expectation had then risen on him, and he faced a lot of negativity and some really ugly scenes during reaching a European final. Yeah. Did that make you question taking up this interim position at all?
No, not really. I think I'm really, really confident in the job that I can do. I think with the players that we've got as well, we've got a real capability of doing so well in the future. I think not only with the senior team, the 21's and the rest of the pathway, we've got some really exciting players in the system. So to get to a major final and to qualify for a final, especially, is no mean feat. So I think we're all aware that the next candidate that comes in, the objectives are quite simple. It's to win a major tournament. So that'll be the case in the future, I'm sure.
And at left back, the ongoing problem, but quite good to have someone like Ashley Cole in your team then. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, Ash is he's someone that I've worked with now with the 21's, along with Jolien, Tim Dittmer. People that I really trust, that have got a great way about them, good coaches, but more importantly, good people. And I think especially with some of the age of some of the players in the squad, to have someone that they can talk to about different experiences on and off the pitch, is really invaluable. But Ash has been brilliant for us.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you. Pass to Henry, but we'll go to Jack Pitbrook next. Jack.
Hi, Lee. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We've seen with Scaloni and De La Fuente and Southgate himself, coaches stepping up from under 21s, under 20s, Olympic teams. Why do you think there is that trend at the moment?
I think maybe it's quite different to work international football to club football in terms of the the amount of contact time, especially that you get with players, understanding what players are in the system as well in terms of the ones that you can select is really helpful. And obviously, seeing how Spain done in the future, I don't think it's a blueprint by any means. I think managing international players at the minute really suits me. Really suits the way that I want to coach. It helps that the players that you are coaching when you do pick a squad, which is quite different to a club team, is that you're basically picking the best players to play in a certain way and hopefully to do well. So, but I can see that there's, I don't see that as a blueprint, but it's been quite a successful one for Spain.
You've listed Trent amongst the defenders. Gareth used to list him amongst the midfielders.
Yeah.
Where do you see his very special talents working best for England? Yeah,
well, I think for me, for this camp especially, he'll be a right back, be playing in defence. I think Trent, like a lot of the players, especially modern day fullbacks, especially, have got all round attributes that almost turn him into midfielders. He's very comfortable receiving the ball. He's got a great range of passing, as has Rico and Kyle Walker-Peters. I watched as well at Southampton the other day. They're very comfortable in possession and playing forwards and receiving the ball. So at some point, I would imagine we'll see Trent arriving into that kind of area. But I see him as a right back.
Hi Lee. What's your thinking in terms of whether this is a squad for these two games or for the long-term future?
Well, these two games especially, I think it was important that at this point of the season, looking back on my previous Septembers, it's important that you pick a squad with players that can hit the ground running, that have already got match minutes into their legs, because there's no way that we can underestimate Republic of Ireland and Finland. Two tough games, especially the first game in Dublin. So that was my thinking. Players that aren't involved definitely aren't ruled out. I don't think I'm in the position to rule players in or out. All of the staff are going to a lot of games and watching all of their minutes, all of their touches. So anyone that's played in the past or in the future has got a chance of being in the next squad. It's really important for me that they're playing well and they're in form and they're pushing on. I think that's it. I think when a squad is named, there should be a proud moment that you deserve to get in the squad, and I'm sure these players feel that.
There's obviously going to be a lot of attention on you personally taking the England team to Ireland next week. Just to clarify, your family's roots are in rural County Cork?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Can you just talk about how important that is to you?
Well, it was a real proud part of my career. 40 caps for the Republic of Ireland is something that I'm proud of. I'm as equally as proud of today. Being named interim manager, head coach of England is a massive achievement and something that I don't underestimate. But I'm definitely proud of my heritage. I was back in Cork in the summer at our family reunion, so it was good timing that to go back and see so many family. Something that I'm really looking forward to the game in Dublin. I think it's going to be a brilliant occasion, a proud moment. Obviously. I've not been back to Dublin for a while in terms of from a football point of view, but it's a match that I'm really motivated for. Cannot wait to get there.
Is your family from Dunmanway?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Back to James Ollie.
Hi Lee, congratulations and good luck.
Cheers.
Just firstly, can you just tell us sort of when and how you found out the FA wanted you to be the interim coach?
Yeah, so obviously Gareth had made his decision, and it was probably a couple of days later where myself and John McDermott had a conversation, very informal. We speak most days anyway. Basically, just thinking about what my thoughts were. I suppose if it was something that I would be not willing to do but capable of, because it's obviously a big responsibility. I think the fact that I've worked with so many players. I understand an international camp. I understand selection. I probably see myself as maybe a safe pair of hands at the minute. So yeah, it was a really easy decision. Really proud moment. I've always said all along that I feel really supported and trusted by not only John but the rest of the people on the board have made me feel so supported, and I've always felt that. So. I don't feel like it's me and it's my decision. I feel like I've got a really strong team of staff behind me that are part of this little period.
You said you'd spoken to Gareth. I know you don't want to tell us what you said, but did you speak to him before you took the job, or
no?
Could you tell us sort of when and how that conversation? Did you contact him?
Yeah, I spoke to him after. It was probably just before it was going to come out. I wanted him to know that what was happening before it actually broke. So that was important for me. That obviously I've got so much respect for Gareth and Steve and the way that they made my job and made me feel and the help and support that they gave us. I think it was important that I spoke to him. Yeah.
As Gary mentioned, obviously Gareth got a lot of criticism for the way that the team played at the Euros, even though they got to the final.
Yeah.
Firstly, what did you make of that? And secondly, do you accept, therefore, that the England manager who replaces him has a sense of responsibility to get this team playing well as winning?
Well, I think obviously I could sense frustration. My role during the Euros was not watching England. It was watching another group. Obviously, I was watching the games on TV like everyone else was, but my focus was on another group in terms of an analysis. Like everyone, I was really happy that they got to the final. I think we played really well in parts. Probably didn't play as well as we probably could have in different situations. But and you could sort of sense a bit of the frustration. What I will say is I think the expectation now is so high and realistic as well. It should be, because we've got some world class players playing in the best league in the world. So expectations should be high. So like I said earlier, I think there's no hiding that the next full-time head coach that comes in knows exactly what the objectives are, and I believe that we've got the players and the squad to potentially go that one step further.
And just finally from me, I know you've said you're only focused on these games, but you must have a gut feeling whether you want it or not, don't you?
Yeah, I've not really thought too much about it, if I'm being honest. I think, like I say, and I've learned in the past, that when I was caretaker manager at Brentford, Coventry, Birmingham City, I spent so much energy talking about why I didn't want the job that you sort of forget to do the job. And I think maybe because I'm 50 now as well, so I'm probably a bit more relaxed and a bit more comfortable in my skin. That I'm happy to help out. I'm happy to do the best job that I can. And I'll just see what happens in the future.
If they offered it tomorrow, would you take it?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, if they offered it you tomorrow full time, would you take it?
Well, I think it's probably important that I see how the games go. I think it's the priority for me is, and I know it's probably a boring answer, but literally the best person's going to get the job. The best person deserves to do this job. There's some brilliant coaches out there, some excellent head coaches. I trust the people involved in the process that they'll get the best person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pass the mic to Louise.
Hi, congratulations.
Yeah.
You were just talking then about anybody having the opportunity to get into the squad even into the next international break. But what about that starting 11? Obviously, we saw Gareth use a certain amount of players, but there was players around the periphery, maybe Bowen, and who started a couple of games.
Yeah.
What chance have they got to make that first starting 11 and make a different impact on this team?
Yeah. Well, I think I couldn't tell you what the starting 11 is now. I wouldn't. I mean, I've got an idea. To be fair, I've got an idea. I think what generally happens when a new coach comes in is that people that were maybe on the outside, players that were maybe on the outside, will see this as a fresh start for them. I think there's different categories within the team. Players that have been in a while, players that have been in and out. Obviously, the younger players, and that middle group that have maybe been in quite a lot of squads but haven't quite cemented a place in the team or a feeling of status within the squad. I think it's a fresh start for them. The big thing for me is training, how they train. We understand exactly what it's going to be like in Dublin in terms of what's needed to go out there and beat Republic of Ireland, who've got a decent record in Dublin. So everyone's got a fair chance. I wouldn't know exactly what the starting 11 is now, and obviously we've got tonight's games and Saturday's games as well to get through, and Sunday. So I would imagine there will be still some movement within the squad in terms of players coming in and out.
And obviously Jack Grealish missed out in the summer and would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
How excited are you about having him in this squad and what he can bring? Because obviously he's a super talented player.
Yeah, really excited to work with Jack. Obviously, I've known of Jack for a while. Never worked with him before, but seeing his talent, seeing the ability that he's got, he's probably coming in as well. One of them players that we maybe just spoke about that's maybe got a point to prove. And I'm looking forward to seeing a fit and motivated Jack Grealish.
I'm just interested in your take in the forward lineup as well and the forward players.
Yeah.
There's so much talent to squeeze in there.
Yeah.
Have you had a thought about how you might do that and what you might utilise that maybe was done differently in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, from what we've done in the past, from a 21's point of view, in terms of I've always tried to look at combinations and players that play well with each other. I think you've got such a short amount of time, whereas at a club you've got weeks and months to work together, whereas our international camps, it's 2 or 3 days. So it's players that are playing in positions that they're used to, and players that are used to playing with each other and connecting with each other. That'll be a big thing for us moving forward.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more. Follow-up from Rob Dorset and then Alex for the time.
Lee, you said you wouldn't shoot at the big calls, and you've made some big calls. There's some big-name England players that aren't in there. I look at Marcus Rashford, James Maddison. Yeah. Can you explain why they're not in when they've both started pretty well for their clubs this season?
Yeah, I think it's probably not a case of why they're not in. I just think at the minute there's players ahead of them. They're both players that have done really well for England and their clubs in the past. They're players that are definitely on the radar. I've watched them live, both players. So they're definitely players that are going to get considered for the future. And
in their place, you've got Noni Madueke, who's been brilliant for Chelsea so far. What does he bring? Why does he get his first call up?
Well, Noni's done really well for the 21s. Noni's really improved his all-round game, his goals and assists, the way that he started the season in terms of his energy and his pace and his directness. I think he's a player that will be really important for us this camp. He's a player that I know. I've worked with him in the past. Hopefully I can get the best out of him. I think he'll definitely help the squad as well. I think he'll bring an energy to the squad. Bearing in mind that obviously, we're coming off the back of losing in the final. I think that the squad maybe need that little injection of enthusiasm and energy, and the new players that come in will definitely bring that. So it's probably these players have earned the right to start. Like I say, I don't think this is going to be the squad for the next. Probably be a few changes as well next camp. The main thing is that I'm out watching games, as are the rest of the staff, and everyone's going to get a fair shot.
Thanks, Rob. We'll finish with Alex.
Hi, Lee. We know in previous camps, Ben White made himself unavailable to Gareth Southgate and the previous manager and coaches. Could you just explain to us what the situation is for him from your point of view? Yeah, so as far as I'm aware with that, he wasn't available for selection. Nothing's changed in my 2 weeks of being here. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. Like yourself. I've seen in some of the press reports that he was open to, but that it's gone no further. So as far as I'm aware, there's been no change there. And then will that be a conversation you have in the future if he obviously continues to play well? Well, he's always played well, but he made himself unavailable for selection. So I'm not sure where we go with that.
Okay, we'll end it there. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Lee. Thank you. Cheers.
Good luck.